Welcome to Bleav in Colts, where Lawrence Owen and DeQuell Jackson brings you everything about the shoe.
Welcome back. We're heading into week 3. We just finished the game against the LA Rams, and oh man, honestly, I watched that game over and over and over, and I can't get a lot of things out of my mind. I walk out of that thinking Carson Wentz looked like Superman in that game and was just let down for the second week in a row. What was your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, if you have two eyeballs, we can all agree what you just said, because it seemed like Carson Wentz seemed like the O-line really didn't play with that sense of urgency that we thought they would play, knowing that they got their quarterback hit often. Carson Wentz was running around for his dear life, but he did find some rhythm at some point. But then again, it's just unfortunate that the guy can't catch a break. He's been hit so often that now he's dealing with 2 bum ankles. And this is not a good time for this offense or this team moving forward, starting 0-2. I don't know if you're in the percentages, but I'm not. But this one percentage that stands out to me is when a team goes 0-2, the likelihood of you making the playoffs is less than 12%. You have a less than 12% chance of making the playoffs. So this concerns me moving forward.
Well, the good thing is it looks like the offensive line is getting healthier slowly. Eric Fisher did play over half the snaps, and when he was in, the left side of the line looked good. You know, the pressure was coming from that right side where Davenport was at, where, you know, the guy who played left tackle week 1, where all the pressure came from. Now, another good thing is, as the season moves on, the game should get easier if you look at the schedule in that way, right? I mean, the first 5 games, pretty darn tough, some solid players. Week 4, we might catch a break, considering, you know, Tua he's also injured, and, you know, we may not be seeing Tua at that point. It'll be against a former player, Brissett. And then after week 5, the schedule gets really, you know, a lot less tough. Yeah.
I mean, you have the Ravens coming up, and I get it. Texans, 49ers, Jets. But, you know, again, this team, listen, I watched Quentin Nelson a lot this past game to see how he would match up against Aaron Donald, one of the greatest, you know, interior defensive linemen to play this game. And I thought he did as well as job as anyone could do. With that being said, Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald. You can't stop the blow. Let's say that. The guy's disruptive on every single play. And you know what play that stands out to me when, you know, obviously the offense were able to move the ball down the field, and unfortunately they weren't able to come up with points in the red zone. That was huge. The second one was the decision-making of Carson Wentz. Down in the red zone, he throws the shuffle pass, and who else? None other than Aaron Donald was the guy who caused that confusion. And it's just like, man, we cannot catch a break at this point. And say what you want, the LA Rams is a really good football team, despite all the injury setbacks and the rest Carson Wentz was playing under. They still had a chance towards the end, if Carson Wentz is healthy and, you know, not playing on 2 bum ankles.
Exactly. I mean, Carson just, you know, on that drive, the drive that, you know, the very last play that he had got him into position to tie the ball game, right? After watching that game, and I'm sure you watched the full game part where, you know, they're showing him on the sideline. He's walking around testing his ankles. You know, you see him shaking his head while he's walking around, but he's avoiding people, walking around people on the sideline. And there's people out there, ex-professionals, guys like Keyshawn Johnson, out there talking about how if you could walk, you can play, right? And he was calling him soft, saying that he should have been out there playing quarterback, even if it was just a rolled ankle. He's, you know, talking about, well, Derek Carr was out there with a rolled ankle and he was playing. And
he's the biggest fan of Derek Carr right now. I mean, listen, I get it. Keyshawn is very high on Keyshawn Johnson is very high on Derek Carr. And I heard him spew this madness that he's a top 5 quarterback right now. Listen, in 2 weeks, Derek Carr, he's playing better than, you know, expected for obvious reasons. But you mentioned Keyshawn questioning the toughness of Carson Wentz. That's absurd. Listen, there's not many guys that can stand behind a pocket this year after year in Philly and be under duress like this guy has been and still able to make throws. He got hit like no other last week, and he was still able to complete one of the longest completions of the year after Aaron Donald or whoever it was in his face knocked him down as he threw the ball. So he's one of the toughest quarterbacks, one of the toughest players that I've seen. Now, I don't know what Keyshawn was getting at, challenging or questioning the toughness of Carson Wentz. That's absurd. That is absurd. The guy was hobbled, and if you're a quarterback, you need your ankles. You need to be able to plant and listen, we don't need, for as athletic as Carson Wentz is behind the problems and the issues the O-line has had, he doesn't need to be hobbled. We're just asking for more trouble. We're asking him not to be available for the future. And as you talked about, the season kind of lets up at some point, and we need to win the games that we're supposed to win.
Absolutely. I used to play sports, as a lot of people have, and I played multiple sports. I love basketball, football, baseball, all that stuff. And I rolled my ankle twice in like a couple days. The first time I planted, rolled my ankle. They said, okay, you need to stay off of it for a couple weeks. And I was like, I can't. I got a basketball game coming up. And then I go play basketball, go up for a rebound, come down on another dude's foot on that ankle, right? And the bleachers could hear the pop. And high ankle sprains are nothing to sneeze at.
Right. Because I think they're worse. I think they're worse than the traditional ankle sprain, the low ankle sprain.
Exactly. See, I had that high ankle sprain, and the second time it bruised black and blue all the way up, halfway up my calf. Right. And I had to go see a specialist on it. And the specialist said, now you're off your foot for 6 weeks. And because if you do it again, you could be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, you know? And I'm like, over a sprain? And he's like, seriously, they did the MRIs and everything. And they were like, you ripped all those ligaments, there's nothing holding it together right now. So, I'm out there, and so I understand it's not just the pain. You got to think about your future as well. He could have that sucker taped up. You could take a shoe off, tape it up, put the shoe back on, tape that up on top of it, go out there, play. Still on a high ankle, you could still roll it, even with it taped up, and then you're injured for a long period.
Yeah, and the high ankle sprain is so tricky. I agree with everything you just said. The high ankle sprain is so tricky because it could feel good one moment, and then one quick twitch of a movement, and it's right back to square one. And this team doesn't need that. This team, like you mentioned, we need to focus on the future and the health of Carson Wentz. And if we can, we don't know if he's going to be available moving forward. My honest opinion is I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that man plays a game this upcoming weekend, because 2 bum ankles, I've never experienced that ever, Lawrence. Not two at the same time. So if it's high ankle sprain, low ankle sprain, is all of them, they're tough to deal with, and you have to rest is the only option for you to get better. That's it. And unfortunately, he may not be available for us moving forward.
Hey, Colts fans, thanks for watching DeQuell and I here on Bleav in Colts. While you're at this, please take a moment to smash the like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we upload a video or go live, so that you can join in the conversation. Don't forget, you can share this stream. That would help us out a ton. If you enjoy this, share it. All you got to do is go right over here and click the share button, little red share button down here underneath, and share it to your favorite social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, doesn't matter. Thank you so much. On behalf of myself and DeQuell Jackson, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the show. Well, you talked about it, and they're going through the MRIs. We'll probably hear something about it probably tomorrow. Well, today when I upload this, because
I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if he plays. And he's a tough guy, but it's a balance of being tough and being smart and taking care of your body.
Yeah. So moving on, to this Sunday's game against the Tennessee Titans. And Derrick Henry, who had himself a second half, I'll tell you what, I watched that game.
Goodness.
Oh my goodness! And not to mention Ryan Tannehill is playing some of the best football any quarterback can play right now. We just got done with the Rams, and we were talking about how good the Rams are. The Titans week 1 did not look that good. Week 2 they destroyed the team that destroyed the Colts week 1. Right.
And so they're walking. Yeah. They're walking into next week with a lot of confidence. They beat a really good football team, a really playoff caliber football team. I guess I must have underestimated the D line from the Tennessee Titans, but they had Russell Wilson, moving off the spot and really caused some havoc behind the line of scrimmage. But you mentioned Chris Henry, or Derrick Henry rather. He got going the second half. Like there was nothing that defense can do, and it scares me because our defense, we gave up just shy of 100 yards with a load like Derrick Henry I believe he had 35 or some odd carries. That's a heavy dose of Chris Henry. And, when the running game is working, Ryan Tannehill, it's allowed him to make the throws easy, one-step throw or one-read throws. And, this defense has always been – so about this game, Lawrence. I'm not going to lie. With a potentially hobbled quarterback, we don't know whether or not he's going to play or not. We know this about the Tennessee Titans. They're going to run the football. They're going to be committed to running the football, and they're going to and Ryan Tannehill is going to play not to screw it up. And that's a formula that's worked for them in the past.
See, a lot of people know that the Titans on defense, they know that they have Danico Autry because, ex-Colt. That they heard about them signing Bud Dupree, and we all know about Rashawn Evans and Harold Landry. They've been there for a while. The guy that scares me the most is the guy who really had a highlight pushing Quentin Nelson. I think it was his rookie year. Pushed him back bad. Jeffrey Simmons is a defensive tackle you do not want to take lightly.
Right. They've always traditionally had a front set. Jarrell Casey was a guy who was there for many years. He caused havoc. He was like a bigger version of Aaron Donald. So they've always found a way to find these guys, find these gems to be able to play the D-line position the way it's supposed to be played, the way you want it to be played. But I'm worried about the back end of our defense. And you got guys like Julio Jones that just, that he had a breakout year or breakout game last week. What do you have, over 128 yards receiving on 6 receptions? You got your AJ Brown over there. So, man, this team is structured to ground and pound you and be able to throw the ball up to 2 big, tall receivers. And it's scary. And they also not only can hurt you in the passing game, but the running game as well. They're big bodies. We have little guys on that back end. So this game concerns me a lot. I know it's a division game. I know both of these teams are very familiar with one another, but this team frightens me. They really do.
Yeah, they do. They very much do, especially when you're looking at guys that have injuries on the defensive side, right? We may end up 3 games in a row without our number 1 corner in Xavier Rhodes. Darius Leonard's still out there with that hobbled ankle, right? There's all sorts of problems that we're dealing with. Look what Cooper Kupp did against the Colts last week. My goodness.
Yeah, we have our hands full. But the only thing that keeps me optimistic is the fact that Tennessee last year, I believe they had 12 turnovers, right? The second fewest in the NFL. Now, in 2 games, they have almost half of that total. So they are giving the ball up a little bit. But that's our hope. That's our hope. We have to be able to change the math and create some turnovers and get back on track to this 40+ turnover season. So this game it can go either way. Obviously, it depends on if a quarterback is healthy. Can he play? Can he not play? and that changes to what you do offensively, and it also changes how you want to play defensively. I think from looking at last week's game, I know Matt Eberflus isn't a guy that likes to send a lot of pressure, but we're not getting guys home. We're not getting sacks. I know we're getting pressure. It's just as good as it's disruptive, but we need guys to bring the quarterback down, change the math, start the opposing offense from get them off track, get them off schedule, and we're not doing that right now. I know it's early, it's only the second week, but we need Kwity Paye. We need him to step up. He's shown flashes, but if you're going to be a difference, we're looking for difference makers. And when you get drafted as high as he did, you need to be a difference maker on that field.
Yeah, Kwity Paye was talking earlier after the game, talking about he's went up against two veteran left tackles and why it's so difficult for him, and he said that it's difficult for him because he's a rookie and he don't have much of a changeup, and these guys are really good at handling his initial moves.
Right.
And he said what that helped him in was to more focus on the run defense, rather than focusing so much on the pass defense. But to your point, we need him to be that pass rush guy.
Right. They didn't draft you to stop the run. Hell, man, you can stop the run. We put on pass big enough. We can do that. We need you to change the math. We need you to be a difference maker. Have you heard of a guy named Robert Mathis? Have you heard of a guy named Dwight Freeney? Those guys changed the math when they played for the Indianapolis Colts. They're looking for you to do the same, brother. I know he's young. I know it's going to take some time. But if I were in that locker room, Lawrence, and if I heard that press conference, and if I heard Kwity Paye speak like that, I would tell him, listen, from here on out, for the duration of this season, every left tackle, every tackle, most of the interior offensive linemen are going to have more experience than you. And you can't beat most guys in the NFL with one move. You have to have multiple moves. You have to have counter moves. You watch a guy on the other side. You watch a guy like Aaron Donald. The guy, I watched him, I forget who had they highlighted the matchups between Quentin Nelson and Aaron Donald. And the guy has multiple moves, a multitude of moves. And he does it so much. His hand movement and hand placement is so elite. He just dominates you in that area. So I know he's young, he has a lot to learn. Hopefully if my buddy Robert Mathis is out here, because he does train some guys, I would love for him to get with Kwity Paye.
Yeah, if he thinks he's had problems with a couple veteran guys, he's going up against Taylor Lewan, and that is he's easily a top 10 left tackle out there.
Right, he's legit. And you know what? He's in your division, and I think this is a learning curve for him. You need to especially know the guys that are within your conference and watch how they get beat. And it's a copycat league. I know you've heard that saying a long time. It's a copycat league, and it's no different than how a guy gets beat off a route, how a guy gets beat on a sack. So he's got a lot to learn in that area. But I do like his hustle. I do like his energy that he plays with. I do like all of that. He made some really good plays last week. But this team has to get healthy, man. This is not the way to start a season off. You have to get healthy because you have a long way to go. And, if they're going to have any chance of winning this game, you got to play mistake-free football. You're going to have to, and you got to the defensive unit has to take a step up. I don't expect teams to come out, units to come out and be dominant from the beginning, but just show flashes. And to me, it seems like, they've been absorbing the blow as opposed to being the initiator on defense rather. And this team, I want them to find their identity, and it starts by beating a very good opponent. And it could start this week if all things the football guys bless this organization, but they have their work cut out for sure.
So coming into this game, obviously you don't want Derrick Henry carrying the ball 35 times. If he does, most likely that is a loss. All right.
Right.
So do you believe in run blitzing?
Oh, no doubt about it. That's when, so on first and second down, that's typically where if a blitz is going to be called, the interior linebackers. That's your moment. And it just changes the math. It just, forces a guy like Derrick Henry to, with a guy that big, you want him to stop and start right away. If he gets a full head of steam and he turns the corner, there's not many defensive backs that can stop him in his tracks. He's got a great stiff arm. He's a big guy. He's harder to bring down. So what that does, it allows, obviously it takes the responsibility off the blitzing linebacker. Now you get to blitz a gap, play downhill, try to force Derrick Henry to change, go north, go east and west as opposed to north and south. So I'm a big component of that, and I haven't seen much of that from the Colts. And hopefully, if Tennessee wants to get in this 12, 13 personnel and run, stretch plays or down and around plays, that could change the math. And you're going to have to do it. These guys from safeties to corners, everyone has to get involved to stop a guy like Derrick Henry.
Absolutely. And obviously, in order to stop a guy like him from having 35 carries, you got to get off the field. You got to see a few 3 and outs. You can't let him. Forcing a punt is one thing, but you could force a punt after giving up 7 plays, right? And those 7 plays impact your defense when those are Derrick Henry runs. Second half, you see that a lot, over and over and over. You get to the second half, next thing you know, you're questioning. You're making those business decisions in the fourth quarter, right?
right. And for any defense, trust me, every guy wants to be able to let's stop the run early, so Tennessee would abandon it and put the ball and put the game on the shoulders of Ryan Tannehill. That's everyone's recipe for to win the game. But obviously it doesn't always play out that way, either through injuries or turnovers or what have you. So a guy like that, I've been a part of a ton of games where when I was with the Browns playing against the Steelers, they were committed to running the football. And when a team is committed to running the football, you better eat an extra couple meals that week, add a couple more pounds, because you're going to need all the impact, all the body that you can bring for a guy like Derrick Henry, because our backers, Darius Leonard is made to run sideline to sideline. His body type isn't that built for that old school ground and pound run game. Though he is tough enough and he can get it done, that's just not the way this team is built, and that's not playing into their strengths.
Let's move over to the offense a little bit, because we've discussed, worrying Wentz. You don't expect him to play. So
I don't expect him.
You're moving over to Jacob Eason, who, was I think 4th round pick 2 years ago. And to be fair, yes, he did not look at all good during that small period of time that he played last week to end the game. But honestly, as Frank Reich said, you couldn't have threw a quarterback in a worse situation, right? There's just no way. I mean, all right, so you got to get 3 points, and it's the first time that you've touched the ball during a game ever, and you've got 2 minutes 2 minutes to do it in. Kind of difficult.
It's very difficult.
So with a guy like him, who we know likes to stand in the pocket, stand tall, deliver the ball, what's the best way that the offense, not only as a team, but as a coach, a play caller, do you believe would be the best way to help him perform at his best?
A lot of intermediate routes. You have to cut his drops from the 7-step drops, the guy that likes to stand in the pocket, as you alluded to. You have to change your way of thinking. You have to get the ball out of his hands, whether it be quick slants or the quick game. I mentioned it last week. You have to change the pace of the game. Let's see some no huddle. I didn't see much of no huddle in last week's game, if not any. I think you have to throw Tennessee off their guard. Hurry ups, quick intermediate routes, which create some picks and lanes for guys to be open. And obviously you have to be committed to playing a boring football game. And that is running the football, staying committed to running it. But at the very least, you're eating up time of possession, and you're giving the opposing team and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill less opportunities, so you can lessen the blow. So for me, obviously, the quick answer is intermediate routes, Obviously, you want to take shots when they're there, but you take care of the football, you run the football, you get the ball out of your hands, and you know what? You live and die. You have to live with the punts, and over to, if you stay committed to that, obviously you throw in some wrinkles here and there. I would use all my gadget guys that I have on the offense, who are my reverse guys. If you want a trick play, if all the trick plays that you've practiced in training camp, you have one in your back pocket. You want to get over this. You want to, if Carson Wentz isn't available to play, you have to do whatever you can, bring out all the tricks you can to keep Tennessee's defense just kind of off rhythm, if you will. So that will be my plan for sure.
Excellent. My issue right now is, who is Jacob Eason going to target when he does have to throw the football, when the running game doesn't if it doesn't step up, if Jonathan Taylor is still averaging less than 4 yards a carry, who's he going to go to? Michael Pittman Jr. had a big game last week. He had, oh my goodness, I think go to the stats here, 8 catches, 123 yards, no touchdowns, but big game for Michael Pittman Jr. And Zach Pascal holds every receiving touchdown right now through the first 2 weeks. He's got all 3 touchdowns.
Right. So what do you think Tennessee is going to do? Tennessee sees that same stat. They're going to, not bracket him. He's not at that level, but your focal point needs to be towards him, especially in the red zone when you're backed up. So this is going to be, I would also add this. I didn't mean to cut you off. I would add, the RPO game. You mentioned, to rebuttal what you just said, run some RPO. Even though everyone knows Jacob Eason is not throwing the football, it allows him to only have basic reads. If the running game is working, if you're running from shotgun, run the RPO where you have as you read the end man on the line. If he doesn't dive down, you pull it, you throw the quick slant behind him. So, some easy throws, something that he's accustomed, that he's run efficiently with the first team, whether it be through training camp, mini camp, OTAs, and all. So they have to have a set amount of plays that he feels comfortable running, because as the game unfolds, we know, that game plan gets ripped up. And now you're basically calling the game to win the game. So he has to be ready to play. He is a pro. He has to be ready to play the game, and he has to be ready for anything that Frank Reich and that offense throws at him.
So play calling, I want to get into a little bit about that. Red zone, the Colts have to be so much better in the red zone than what we've seen. You run the ball 3 times, and then you get sacked on the fourth down. Frank Reich stated that he thought about, on the very first and goal at the inches line, running a quarterback sneak rather than a run. Honestly, you don't see that very often from the Colts. You especially down at the goal line. That might have actually caught them off guard a little bit.
It would have. You have to be able to. So who majored in doing that? I've been on the bad side of things is Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots. If they had a big game, they had already practiced it and rehearsed it many a times. You have a big game. If you end up on a 1-inch line, you hurry everyone up and you just call a sneak, because guess what? The defense, they're looking to get calls. They're subbing, getting the personnel, goal line personnel, because you were probably in sub defense. It works every time. Now, if you do that, I agree with it. If you just say you're just going to run a quarterback sneak in front of, last week, Aaron Donald and company, I don't think that was the best, with your quarterback already being exposed and hit and beat up. I don't think that would have been the wise move, but such is life.
So what you're saying is, in situations like that, they need to practice this through the week.
Oh yeah.
And be prepared for it. So
I've always admired, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying, instead of huddling to do it, the coach just yells, whatever code it is for that, go, or whatnot,
Well,
and then he knows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give it to the quarterback. The quarterback is, he knows where the ball is on, down the distance. If it's on the one, you practice with those guys. Hell, I did it in high school. I played quarterback in high school, and if we had a 2nd and 9, hell, everyone knew get on the ball. Who's ever on the ball, get on the ball, and I would, it was a quarterback center exchange. It's something that if you go back to some of those earlier Patriots days when Tom Brady was there, he did a lot of it, and it didn't have to be in goal line. It was 3rd and short or whatever the case may be, and you need 1 yard. It's a very difficult play to defend because you're going to get the benefit of the doubt on the goal line because you have 2 umpires on the side here. So, and then you're able to, offensive linemen are able to push the pile a bit. So I don't know. I mean, it was a bad outing from the offensive, output for running the ball 3 times and then giving up a sack on 4th down. You don't have any points. You give up points, so they have to find a way to fix that because their scoring or offense is not you're not going to win many football games when you can't score from 5 yards out. You're not going to do it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on using trick plays down inside the 5-yard line as well, like the shuffle pass that everybody knows?
It's a great play. That play, I've been burned on that play every time it's been run against me. It works. I just think it was a bad decision by Carson Wentz. He didn't see the field. He threw to an area which
it was a blind throw.
It was a blind throw. And if you're him, you just throw it to the ground. Live to see another day, as opposed to just flipping it out there. Just a call guy that's supposed to be that has to step up when you're down, 0-1, and he just added to the misery that the Colts are living through right now. And it's going to take guys like Darius Leonard, guys like Kwity Paye, guys that are unexpected to really step up right now because right now, that locker room is feeling bad. I could tell you, I it's like I'm reliving it all over again from my days in with the Browns. When you're 0-2 in the NFL locker room, the day is shitty. Like every day is shitty. You haven't won a game since last year, and you put in all these man hours and energy watching film, getting massage, and doing all these things to get your body prepared to play, and you have no results. The fans want to see it. The players want to get a win. The coaches want to live through it. So, yeah, they have a lot of things to correct that have me to hit the caution button.
So, as of the recording right now, there is an issue that I do want to bring up that I'm a little upset with, I would say. Now, I think that Chris Ballard and Frank Reich are very generally open people, and will discuss things that I just didn't expect. Like he was asked in a press conference what he thought Jacob Eason has improved the most. And he got very detailed in saying, he's diagnosing, blitz packages and coverages and stuff like that and getting people in the position to make plays a whole lot better than what he was 3 weeks ago, that kind of stuff, which surprised me because I felt like that's too much information to share to media. But yeah, it's been a week and a half and we still don't know what Braden Smith's actual injury is. And he was specifically asked about it. And he says, I ain't telling you.
Right.
And that makes me wonder. Week and a half in, they got to know something, right?
Yeah, they know. They definitely know. They don't want to. That's the biggest no in an NFL locker room. We don't talk about each other's injuries. And whether you're the GM, the head coach, or whoever is asked that question within that building, you do not talk about injuries. But this is a little odd. This is a little strange. Over a week's time, though, I know those guys in that training room. They work tirelessly, and they're really good at what they do. And the fact that they don't want to tell us probably makes me believe, here's the thing. If I'm playing against a Braden Smith and I know what your injury is, now I played the game with a gentleman's respect. There's a great likelihood that, if I'm a guy that plays D-line, if you're injured, it's a likelihood that I'm going to make sure I tap that area where you're that's bothering you. So I didn't see the press conference. I don't know how he handled it, what his tone was, but I understand why he's being kind of secretive about it, because you don't want to put your player out there on the limb. It's like, okay, hey, if I'm a quarterback or running back, hey, my hands are screwed up. So as a linebacker, I'm walking back to the huddle after a play and I see your finger, I may step on it or two. It's like you want to avoid all of that.
Or punch at it when you're trying to tackle them, stuff like that. Yeah.
So I get the theory of it, but you're right. For him to go so in detailed about Jacob Eason and then kind of backtrack when you talk about someone's injury, I see both sides of it.
Well, it's like the Carson Wentz thing. As soon as over the weekend, it was a lot of speculation when it happened, and then they came out and they straight up, it's a bone, it's in a spot, right. Blah blah blah. They got very detailed about it, and then next thing you know, Braden Smith has a foot injury, and it's a week and a half in, and they're just, we're not telling you what the injury is, or a timeline or anything, and it's got me worried. It's making me think that Braden might be a lot more hurt than what they might be giving on.
Sure. And that probably would explain, the play of recent. His play hasn't been up to par as we would hope. But I remember a guy that wore the number 12, and he played quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. And he was in the training room a lot. And his name was Andrew Luck. And when I tell you I was in the training room as much as anyone else, just prehabbing and taking care of my body, that guy was in there twice as much as I was. And I never knew why he was in the training room. He didn't talk about it. The trainers didn't talk about it. It was the most taboo issue ever, and you appreciate that as a player. But the Colts, they don't play about, they don't want to give anyone, for the front office, as well as they look at it as giving the opponent an advantage, and they want to avoid any conversation about potentially giving the opponent the advantage. So it's an old tactic that that still lives throughout the National Football League to this day.
All right, well, I'm a little bit easier on that now, that you're explaining that you just don't want to give. These are press conferences. And yes, he's telling it to Colts people, but it's going to be out there and everybody's going to see it, right?
Oh, I would watch it as a player. I would watch when I was playing, I would watch coaches, talk about it, look at the injury reports to see who I was playing, to see if anyone had a nagging injury, because players hate to be on the injury list because now the whole world knows. Now your opponent knows. And, once you're hobbled, we all know as playing the game, when you're hobbled, that just doesn't go away. You play a contact sport. You're going to deal with that for the entire season. So there is something to it. But as a player, I can understand why they chose to go that route.
All right.
Player, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, player still. I know you're not playing right now, but you were a player and you were good at your job. So this is, information you're giving us is absolutely fantastic, because it helps me see inside of what it's like to be a player. I got a question. You was talking about, teams not wanting to give out information, players not wanting to give out information about injuries. How often, and I know this is probably an incredibly taboo question, so if you can't answer it, that's fine. How often do players actually have injuries and don't make the list?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of times it depends on this. That's a really good question, because there's like two parts to that question. One, guys don't want to be on the injury list because depending on where you are from a contract standpoint, you don't want to end up when you go to contract negotiations and the team is trying to negotiate on their behalf, and obviously the player's representation is trying to negotiate on their behalf. Now it becomes down, is this player available for us? Is this player always in the tub? Is he always in the training room? So guys want to steer away from that, even if they are injured. And when guys are in the training room, that means there's something seriously wrong, because every guy that I've ever played with, you want to avoid it. The other part to that is, frankly, this may be a little like shallow, but you don't want to wake up in the fucking morning. You know, like if you're on the injury report, that means you have to wake up, you have to be at the training room at 6 a.m. So wherever you live, you're getting up at 4:35, and guys just don't want to do it. You much rather be injured and deal with it your way than get up early in the morning to take away an hour of sleep. So there's so many different factors that goes into that. And if a guy, you know, guys avoided it at all costs. I avoided it at all costs. If the trainer saw me, they knew, okay, I've done whatever I could for my body, and it's their turn. It's like I've dealt with it for a few weeks. And I remember with the Colts, I had a deep thigh bruise, Lawrence. And when I tell you, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. This thigh bruise, you know, I played a linebacker. I'm positioned. I'm always falling and tackling people to the ground. And it just would not go away, to the point I wouldn't practice all week. I would only practice on a Friday. And that was maybe 10 to 15 plays. And I remember the trainer that's currently there, I played a game against Jacksonville, and he looked at me. They had to shoot me up before the game. Like, I could barely bend my leg. It was that just agonizing. Played the game, and I remember him coming to me. He was like, how the hell did you do this? Like, how the hell did you play this game? But he didn't know, based on my contract, I needed to be available. I needed to play the game in order to get all the money that was, you know, that I signed up for. So that is the reason. That is the reason I kept playing, you know. But yeah, that's definitely that was definitely a great question that a lot of former guys will talk about it. Got current guys, they not so much. Not so much.
That's why I was wondering if it was a kind of a taboo question even for you, because, you know, players and teams today, they might not want that talked about, period. You know, so I didn't know if it was something I should ask you or shouldn't ask you. So that's why I was giving you that option.
You can ask me anything. You can ask me anything, because I took care of all the trainers that I've ever worked with, from the Colts to the Browns. They knew I was 10 steps ahead. I had done all the prehab stuff to avoid, you know, any lingering injuries or bruises or what have you. But yeah, I'm confident to speak on that. But a lot of guys won't, unfortunately.
Well, I think it's about that time, about 42 minutes in. I appreciate everybody who is watching this or listening on the podcast. Please don't forget to share it. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and download. Definitely make the downloads. Really helps out a lot. Let's get into predictions for the game.
Okay.
It's a little bit little bit difficult right now, being that we're recording a day earlier than normal. Well, actually 2 days earlier than normal.
2 days earlier.
So we haven't even seen an injury report yet, speaking of, but we do know, you know, who was hurt the last game and all that stuff. And to me, I feel like the offensive line is getting better. It doesn't look like it too much, but that's a much different defense front seven with the Rams than what it was with the Seahawks in week 1. I feel like that left side played a whole lot better, especially even when Aaron Donald was on that side, than what they did the previous week. The thing that scares me is if I'm going to go with Jacob Eason starting, or even a hobbled Wentz, because a hobbled Wentz is going to have issues, right? He's not going to be able to do the things that we saw. He ducked 3 sacks on one play. All right. How in the world? You're not going to he's not going to be able to do it like that on 2 hobbled ankles, and Eason's not going to be doing that at all.
And you better believe Tennessee's defense is going to turn up the pressure on him if Carson Wentz is available and hobbled.
Yeah. Now the defense will probably come out and they'll probably play hard, especially against the run. I really do feel that way. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to break 150. He may break 100. All right. I'm probably figuring 110 to 120 is what I'm thinking he'll probably get, because that seems like what he averages, right? you could slow him down, but you're not going to stop him, much in the same way of Aaron Donald. You could slow him down by making sure you got bodies on him, but he's going to make an impact.
He's going to have an impact, right? Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like the Colts could have issues scoring in this game due to the quarterback situation.
I think we're going to agree on this one. I think we're both going to agree on this one.
Yeah,
I'll let you finish, but I think we're going to agree on this one.
I think if we're going to walk into this, Tennessee's going to know that we're going to be somewhat one-dimensional. They're going to be focused on stopping the run. There's not going to be much of a deep threat because of the simple fact that, Paris is hurt, T.Y.'s hurt, and there's not going to be a lot of time, as you said, to throw the football downfield. I don't like as much as I want the Colts to defeat their division rival. I don't think they're going to do it this game.
I agree. I agree. I just think the Tennessee is coming off of just a huge win in overtime, and they were down 24-9 at one point to start the half, and they were able to beat a really good football team that normally doesn't give up. When they're leading, they're winning the game, and they did it in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm with you on that. As far as a prediction, a score, I feel like this, even with a hobble, even if Carson Wentz does play, he's going to be hobbled, and all the things that you mentioned, whether it be Jacob Eason, I think the what we do offensively dramatically changes when we haven't created a rhythm for ourselves this season. And I think with that being an issue, with the O-line starting to come around, the Titans, I see the Titans having more pressure on either Jacob Eason or Carson Wentz, just to create more havoc and create more pressure at their feet and in their throwing lanes. With that being said, I think Tennessee wins this football game. I think Derrick Henry, they control the clock with Derrick Henry. I think he gets north of 20 carries, 20, 25 carries. I think from a score standpoint, I would say somewhere like 24-10 standpoint, Tennessee Titans win this football game.
Oh, you got a blowout in this game. And the scary thing is our defense, I feel like, is going to be on the field a lot, because I don't think that our offense is going to be able to consistently move the sticks and keep the defense off the field to get rest. And that's just going to snowball, right? That'll snowball and make the defense more and more tired throughout the game, which means then Derrick Henry is going to be able to just get stronger and stronger and stronger as the game goes on. Your score prediction, very close to mine. I think I'm going to give us an extra touchdown. I'm going to give us 17. I think we could.
That's fair.
I think we'll score pretty good in the first half, but the second half, I don't think our offense will be on the field very long. I think Tennessee will probably be controlling the clock a lot with Derrick Henry, and I'm looking, like I said, Colts 17, 28, or we'll say 28-17.
That's about right, because Tennessee they're not the team you want to face right now. And defensively, talking Colts defense, wow, when you're down 0-2 in the season, and the minute things go bad, whether you play offense, defense, or special teams, if you're on the Colts, you immediately go back to the place where you are. Well, I lost the week before and the week prior to that, so it's a mindset that if this young team can step out of, it will show a lot of maturity and a lot of growth from this unit, from this team, and a lot of resilience. However, the way Tennessee is built to run and ground, with their running game and Derrick Henry, I think it'll be too much for the Colts.
Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of people hating on me because this is 2 weeks in a row that I've pretty much.
But you're honest.
Are going to lose. Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
You got to tell the truth, man. You got to call it the way you see it.
Yeah, that's what I got to do, and that's I'm not here to blow smoke up anybody's butt, right? As much as a fan of I am of Indianapolis, I have to look at it reasonably and know the odds of us winning this game are looking more and more bleak as time moves on because of the injuries, that has just been piling on. So
yes. I agree.
Hopefully Indianapolis will start to get a little bit more healthy as the weeks go on, and we can start changing, at least me, my outcomes of these games, because I am tired of saying lose.
Right. The only people that really feel like they have a chance are the guys in that locker room.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to believe it, and they're going to have to do more than believe. They're going to have to go out there and prove it and show up when it counts the most, period.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for spending this 50 minutes again with me this week. Hey, good luck, or have fun, I should say, this weekend in Cleveland. Something special's happening with you. Why don't you tell the guys, everybody, what your weekend consists of? Yeah,
so the Cleveland Browns, I'm being inducted to this year's class of Browns legends. Myself, Josh Cribbs, a guy named Webster Slaughter, and a guy named Bill Nelson. And so it's going to be a huge weekend. We get to play some golf. There's an event. There's a dinner. I think we may actually get jackets, like pretend Hall of Fame-ish vibe. So I'm looking forward to that. I get to bring my family out there. My son's never seen me play. He's only 2. So it'll be good to have him be in that environment. And it should be good. And my buddy Josh Cribbs, he's jumping on the podcast tomorrow. We're doing a live show tomorrow at 5 to talk about, him being an undrafted free agent to him being on the ballot the last 2 consecutive years for the Hall of Fame. He's had that type of career. So it's going to be fun. Tomorrow is going to be fun this weekend. And I get to see some old teammates of mine, and hopefully Cleveland come out with a victory.
Go check out that podcast live at 5 tomorrow. Athletes Unplugged.
Yes,
right?
At Athletes Unplugged. The link will be in the bio. If you go follow us right now, I've done it'll be a lot of fun. Please go check it out, Athletes Unplugged.
All right. Well, that's it for today's episode of Bleav in Colts. Appreciate each and every one of you. And, man, I really hope you win. I don't expect it, but I'm hoping for it. Until next time.
Yeah, they can pull this off.
Yeah, right? And if they can win, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's DeQuell Jackson. Go Colts.
Go Colts.
Have a good one.